What's up, people, and welcome to another edition of Deconstructing Hip Hop, the show where geek meets ghetto, aka the show where we break down classic hip hop beats using modern day music production tools. Now, before I start, I really do want to thank those of you that showed me a lot of love on the last episode where I covered They Reminisce Over You by Pete Rock and CL Smooth. I got a lot of positive feedback on that, and in fact, Mr. Pete Rock himself messaged me on Twitter after watching the video. And I gotta admit, that did make my day. But enough with the whole patting myself on the back thing. Let's talk about making beats today. Now, today's song comes to us from a group that certainly made a lot of waves in hip-hop back in its day. Now, Brand Nubian started out as a trio plus a DJ and ended up as a duo plus a DJ. Their first album, All For One, dropped at a time when hip-hop was just a lot more about social consciousness, and the album reflected that. By the time their second album, In God We Trust, came out, hip-hop was becoming a little more hard-edged, and this album reflected that too. Now, today's track is the lead single off of that album called Punks Jump Up to Get Beat Down, and you really gotta love that title. Now, actually, I didn't do the original album version. I did the remix of the song. Now, this was produced by Diamond D, and this track reflected everything that hip-hop was at the time. Gritty drums, horn riffs, and scratching. The track is made up of at least, and I say at least because I know I didn't get all of them, but at least 3 samples. One from Lou Donaldson, another one from the theme from Rocky, and a horn riff that's by somebody whose name I really just can't remember. Just watch the video and you'll see the name somewhere pop in there. Now, given the era that this song came out, I'm going to guess that Diamond D probably used an EMU SB1200 since the whole track is sample based and not a whole lot of sample time would have been needed. Today, as usual, I'm using Native Instruments Machine, yet again. Not for nothing, but I really do love Machine because it's easy to use, and in many ways its workflow is a lot like the classic samplers of old, just on steroids. Anyway, let's do this. Punks Jump Up to Get Beat Down was the first single off of Brand Nubian's In God We Trust album. For me, this was the single that put me on to them. I wasn't really that much into hip-hop when All For One had dropped, but by 1992-93, my hip-hop game was definitely in full swing. And this was another track that my cousin Ivis had put me on to. I eventually did go back and listen to All For One.
The possession, reason of use.
Now, the interesting thing is that even though this was the lead single, it was the remix that really got the album some shine, despite the fact that the remix itself wasn't on the album. Now, a lot of people were doubtful that a Brand Nubian without Grand Poobah was gonna get a warm reception, but they were wrong, especially with this Diamond D produced gem. Now, when this dropped, horn samples were the thing to include in your song. Even though the horn in this track isn't the most dominant element, it definitely is one of the more memorable parts. Now, this track also set the tone for the rest of the album. All For One dropped at the height of the whole Afrocentric era in hip-hop. For this album, Brand Nubian left behind the dashikis and whatnot, and they were more vocal with their 5% beliefs. They were also a lot more aggressive in their lyrical content. Alright, we've got all of the elements more or less where they should go. Now, it's not going to be perfect because I am missing a couple of horn samples. The one that I got wasn't the only one that was in there, and to be honest with you, I have no idea where Diamond D had gotten them. But they're not very prominent in the track, so you probably won't notice it unless you've really spent a lot of time listening to the original song. So that being said, just enjoy, and if you have any idea where the other horn samples came from, just let me know in the comments below, okay?
Nothing but abuse.
Not bad if I must say so myself. Now, I am well aware that I didn't get all of the elements of the song. Like I said, there were some horns in there that I just really have no idea where Diamond D pulled them from. And of course, I couldn't scratch the James Brown sample since I don't have a turntable. Besides, even if I did have a turntable, I probably still wouldn't be able to pull off those scratches because I'm so out of practice. Now, if you have any ways that I can improve this cover, or can tell me where the missing horns came from, or have a link to your own cover of the track, please let me know in the comments below. And now we come to the part of the show where I plug myself. Remember to like the Facebook page at facebook.com/deconstructinghiphop. Now, I know it's easier to just subscribe to the YouTube channel, but I really do include some stuff on Facebook that I don't always post onto YouTube. And you're more likely to reach me on Facebook since I'm on there more often. Now, speaking of YouTube, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel at youtube.com/deconstructinghiphop. Now, I usually reply to all of the comments there too, just not as fast as I would on Facebook since I'm not on YouTube as often. Lastly, I made a separate Twitter account for the show, and you can find that at twitter.com/deconhiphop. There you're going to find updates to the show, random hip-hop related comments, and maybe the occasional trivia question or two. I don't know. It depends how busy I am that day. Now, you can still follow my personal account at twitter.com/RogerGill79 if you like. Just know that you're probably going to get a lot of mental health related stuff in your newsfeed because, well, I am a therapist by trade. Anyway, it's getting late and I have to get this show edited and posted before bedtime because I'm actually going to attempt to get my round self up early to maybe go for a run or something. Either ways, until next time, peace.